Okay, I think we're all ready to start now. So, welcome to another 3D Survey webinar. Today's topic is tips and tricks in 3D Survey, or how to speed up your workflow using those tips and tricks. So, let's first introduce ourselves. My name is Matthias Zupan, and I am a QA manager here at 3D Survey. That means I'm testing and looking into new features to make them as efficient as possible, so you users don't get buggy software with errors. Previously, I have worked as an engineering geologist, which means I have spent a lot of time on the field and a lot of time in the office working with CAD and with GIS tools. So I'm quite familiar with such software. And today with me is also Marco, who you already, I think everybody knows already. Marco, would you like to say a few words? Hello, Marco.
1, 2, 3 test. Can you hear me right now? Probably.
Yeah, now it's good.
Hi, Mattia, and hi, everyone. Yes, I'm a support guy right now from the back end to this webinar. So if you will have some questions or anything like that, then you'll write it in chat box. I will try to answer them immediately and help also during the webinar, Mattia, with additional questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Marco. So as you heard, if you get some questions along the way, please don't hesitate to write them in the box, and we'll try to get to you as soon as possible. If not sooner, we'll get to you in the end. Okay, so about today's webinar. There's no specific topic today. The only thing that we are interested in is making your workflow as efficient as possible, to make your day at the office easier and to, well, help you in any way that that's possible. So, as you know, 3D Survey started as to make surveyors work easier. Now that photogrammetry is already a proven concept, we'll try to make another step forward to make this process easier. With having thousands of users worldwide, we wanted to give a little extra back, because this webinar was inspired by users' feedback, especially in a way, in sort of a passive way, that we often see that even long-time users simply overlook a feature or two, or have their old workflows that could be improved or shortened or simply easier. So with this in mind, we gathered a list of all those little tips and tricks that can make sometimes very long tasks a bit shorter, or a certain keyboard shortcut that can give you a quicker way to get on with your stuff. So here are some scenarios. Like if you didn't know, there's an option for a screenshot, or sometimes when you're struggling with your 3D model that you have got through videogrammetry with your phone, and you have to transform it. This can be quite awkward task. Or often you're processing a lot of data and it simply takes a lot of time. There are a few tips and tricks to get around that too. Or simple stuff like trying to zoom in on a detail and miss it. And there's a trick how to save a view location if you want to return to a certain view of your 3D model. And there's also a fully automated workflow that we're going to present. So yeah, one thing before we start, just to break the ice, we will have a few questions Don't worry, very simple questions, just a yes or no. So you should see them on your screen now.
Works perfectly. We can see them.
Okay, I'll give you about half a minute to click. Or okay, we already see some progress. I see most of you are already using 3D survey. It's nice to see. But if you are a first timer, don't worry. I think it should be interesting for you also. Okay, we're getting very high result of people voted. So let's go on to the next question. Just a second. Yeah, I could also ask you this in person, but you are all muted. So the question is, did you already see our video series of tips and tricks on our social media? We have started to publish it about a month ago. And today, all those tips and tricks will also be included in this webinar, but there's many more. So stay tuned for that. Okay. A couple of more seconds if you're still searching for the button. Okay, are we good? 3, 2, 1, close. Thank you for your votes. Okay, and now we can truly start. So the first trick that we also started our video series with was capture. And this is an easy way to get a snapshot of your working area. So you want to share something you're doing in 3D survey, just press C on your keyboard and the file called capture is saved in your project folder. Very simple, just one key on your keyboard. There's one thing you have to know about this one. There's only one capture you can have because every time you press C will override the previous one. But since you've joined our webinar, we have a special little half official announcement. We are working on this one and it will be improved in the future. So you will be able to have more snapshot and perhaps in better quality. And we also have timestamp, so you know exactly when you did them. Okay, that was the first one. Moving on to the profile editing. I think most of you already know profile tool. It's quite straightforward. So if we look at the video, when you double click, you get a new point. Very simple. And if you want to delete point, you simply click on it and press delete. And if you want to delete more points, you select first point and then second point and press R or click reconnect. I can also show you this in the software. Just a second. So if I go here, okay, we should be in our 3D survey now. So this is the profile tool. We have some profile down here. And let's say we wanted to edit this first one. Because we have, for example, removed this pile here, we can now delete all those points. And you could go around this by clicking them and deleting them, but this is time consuming and unnecessary. So what you can do is press the start and the end click reconnect, and it's done. And the keyboard shortcut for that is R. And if you want to do something different, for example, if you want to change this profile into a pit, you can double click and the profile tool will add new points. Okay. And if you want to do annotations, I think you already know this one, you can add points like this. So this was start. And these points will also be visible on the 3D model. Okay. I will now switch back to the presentation. We are back. Marco, did you want to add something here, or you think we got it all?
No, I think you got it all. So this one is super nice. Now you have a classified point cloud and the profile was immediately nicely connected. But from the user feedback, sometimes they forgot to do the classification before the profiles, and then they get, I don't know, 500 vertical lines with a lot of these annotation points. They are pissed off, oh, how to do it. And actually, I know few of our customers that were doing this for 2 years, deleting point by point. This feature is inside for more than 5 years, and yes, great that you mentioned it, that you collect them. So for all you who are playing with the profile lines, maybe just a nice short reminder. Also, a lot of different additional options are there. So check it out. There are a number of buttons. Check them out, what they do. And yes, Mattia, that's it. Let's continue with this one.
Okay, thank you, Marco. The next one is bounding box. I think you already, almost everybody knows the bounding box. It's a useful tool if you want to reduce the amount of visible 3D model. You open up the bounding box and then you can make it smaller. But there are also keyboard shortcuts to rotate it. So if we're in our render area, we press Control and left or right, and our bounding box will rotate left or right. If you also add Shift, it will rotate by smaller steps, so slower. Control up or down will also rise it or lower it. And you can also do the so-called 3D profile if you thin it out using right mouse button. And then you can drag it using Control. So you can have this 3D profile viewing. And if you add Shift here too, it will also go slower. And sometimes you don't want to see bounding box anymore and you want to go back to full view, just click Control R and it will reset the view like this. Okay.
Okay, perfectly nice. Perfectly nice. I would just like to add that this slide function, when I do the presentation to end customers or something like that, they really love it. And it's super fascinating if you have two surfaces. So like you are doing the volumetric calculation where you have one surface and one month later another surface, you can super detailedly see where the surface is going up and down, and it's kind of a nice investigation tool then also. And nevertheless, don't forget some of those shortcuts you have also direct buttons already, 3D window and something like that, like reset view or something like that. And of course, if there are some questions, I would remind you of write them in question box, that I will also do something on backside.
Okay, let's not keep Marco boring. So, I mean, give him some work to do. Let's go on to Sparse Point Cloud. We presented this trick in the previous webinar also. It's a very good one. We got some nice response from our customers. The trick is when you do the bundle adjustment, you get Sparse Point Cloud. And you can use this sparse point cloud to draw in our CAD module. So now that we have drawing on images support, you are able to draw CAD points on a very sparse point cloud. You don't even know where are you placing points, but you have images here on the side and you can position those points accurately. So even if you don't have 3D model, you can still do perfectly accurate calculations of areas or measurement of distances. There's so many use for this one, and the best thing about it is that it's super quick. You have it done in like 10 minutes. But I don't want to just sell you something twice, so I will show you another thing you can do with this one. So now we will again switch to 3D survey. Just a second. And let me find the right one. It's this one. Yeah. So this is my project. I have done bundle adjustment in, and now we will simply create a now we will convert this sparse point cloud to an actual point cloud. Okay, you see now in the list of point clouds, there is my sparse point cloud. It has 95,000 points. And you can see, yeah, it's a construction site, but that's about it. As I said, you can do some measurements on it now. If you go to CAD, use measure tool. Okay, 100 meters. How about this one? About 60 meters. And if we use this side pane with drawing on images, you can see exactly where you're placing your points. Okay, this was just a quick repeat. What I wanted to show you was, if we go to mesh now, and you can calculate new DSM. Let's say we'll do something really fast. Okay, I think this should be good. Okay, so this is now a surface model. I know it doesn't look very nice, but that's not what we made it for. What we made it for was actually a orthophoto image. If we go to calculate new orthophoto, we can now do a traditional orthophoto, which will paste the images onto this 3D mesh. And if I click this, you will see that the orthophoto generated will be perfectly nice, because all you basically need is some surface and the images that you already have. So let's give it a few seconds.
So if I join you to this explanation, so in this way, this is kind of a trick where you can come from images to orthophoto in, let's say, 10 minutes, instead of waiting 2 hours to get the dense point cloud, to get a detailed mesh, and so on. So it's if you are in a hurry to get to the end result just really quickly, you can skip the longest step, so-called reconstruction step, and achieve the orthophoto result.
Yeah, and on top of that, you can also add CAD drawings. We had just done a few quick measurements in this example, but you can go back here and do, well, anything you want, because you have this drawing on images support, and there's no limit. Start drawing, and you can export it, send it to the client, and well, that's it. I think that's super useful feature that can save you a lot of time. Okay, we're back in our presentation. Hope you liked this one. It was a bit more advanced, let's say. So next one is a bit more simple. We won't waste much time on it. It's just the way how to rename files, I mean elements in 3D Survey. As you know, there's no right click and rename function. All you have to do is double click on the element and you can rename it. What you can also do is press F2 like classic Windows thing. And there's also a reorder. This one is when you have, for example, multiple orthophotos and you don't know which one you are looking at. The answer is you are always looking at the one that is displayed on the bottom of the list. So the logic is last in, first out. You know, if you do multiple orthophotos, the last one you did is the one that you're viewing. But you can also always reorder them or just simply turn them off on these checkpoints. So that is it. Very simple. We'll go on to the next one. And this is transform. As I mentioned, sometimes it can be really hard to transform a model that you have got out of videogrammetry with your phone. As for example, this little garden house that I did. If you don't do that a lot, you might not be so familiar on how to turn that around, and you have to drag these edges of the bounding box to set it up straight. And the trick here is to set your default crosshair into a certain position that will enable you to do it easier. And just for better presentation, I will again go to 3D Survey to show you this live on a different model. Just a moment so I can find it. Yeah, that's it. So this is something I got out of videogrammetry with my phone. And when I first did this, it took me a lot of time to turn that around. But the trick is to set this crosshair in this way: red, green, blue. Okay, and now it's so much easier. I go to transform, move this to the side, and now I go axis by axis. I'll start with the red one. I can scale it up a bit to see it a bit better. Okay, great. And now I want to align this using rotation around the red axis. I will align it with the green one. So I grab it here with the right mouse button, rotate it, and now I go into this view, and I want to see it that it's perfectly aligned with this green one. And the irritating thing is now I can't grab it and rotate it, but what I can do is go here and use my mouse wheel. Okay, I clicked inside the box and now I'm fine-tuning this. See, okay, somewhere around here looks perfect. I just confirm it and looks good. I mean, I could also rotate it around the blue axis, but I think it's okay. And one easy way to check if you've done a good job is to press Control R or reset view. And if it looks right, it's right. Yeah, so that's that. It's quite an easy workflow tool for people who do a lot of videogrammetry. If you don't do it, yeah, skip this one. But if you do it a lot, it will save you some time and some nerves. Okay, the next one is zooming in smoothly. This one is very simple, but it can be frustrating at times because sometimes you're zooming in with your mouse wheel and the step is just too big. You fall through the roof or you miss the detail And there are two ways how to zoom smoothly. In either way, you use Shift, and first one is to just hold Shift and use the mouse wheel as always. But in this case, when the Shift is pressed, you will not move this much, you will move this much. So it breaks down the step of the zoom for like 4 times. And even smoother zoom is holding down Shift and then left clicking with the mouse and push mouse up or down. This is the second option here. It's also very useful, very nice if you're filming something or just showing something to the client and you don't want to come out like someone who doesn't know what he's doing. Okay.
Definitely, it's nice one. So I think the 3D survey viewer is really nicely designed so that you can nicely rotate the model. And we spent quite a lot of time to give you the best user experience with this part because you know, core of software is surveying and accuracy is the higher priority. And with a good viewer, you can zoom really detailedly inside to the model and you can decide which point to take, where's the corner of the building or anything like that. And if you know how to use the software, how to use the viewer with these tips and tricks, you will see you will be twice more effective. So I really love this double mouse click where immediately the focus on area and interest it is there. So if you are, I don't know, in a one part of your model and you would like to focus in some corner, just double mouse click on this corner. Immediately the center of the model is in this part now, and then just zoom it, use the shift plus mouse, drag actually to come closer, and you will see you can be so detailed with this one that any other software cannot achieve this part. So feel free to check it out.
Thank you, Marco. That's one thing I forgot to tell you. It's good thing before you start zooming, double click and it will set the point of interest for you in the model. So you're zooming exactly where you want to.
And one more hidden trick. So this is the left double mouse click. Sometimes if you are in between of drawing new points with CAD lines, you know, the click of the mouse can mean that you will also create a new point or new vertex. And in this case, oh, sorry, let's stop. Feel free, Mattia.
Okay, we'll come back to that one. Yeah, it's coming up. Thanks anyway, Marco. But first we'll cover some orientation keyboard shortcuts. So if you're using GCPs, you will like these ones. Okay, so when you're in the orientation detection overview, you want to select the targets that are bad detections, or maybe software has eliminated too much of your detections that you find good. So anyway, you want to turn them off or on. You can select multiple targets by holding down Control. That's quite normal for Windows. And you can also add, if you press down Shift and click in a row, you will select all the targets like this. And if you combine Control and Shift, you can either do a selection by Control and click or Shift and click. And if you add also Control and Shift and then click, it will select more targets and keep the previously selected also active. So it's like 2 sets of selection. I hope that's not too complicated. And then you use double mouse click to turn them off or on, like this. And then there's a nice shortcut for zooming in. I mean, there's a slider down there, but also what you can do is just go over one image, like here, and then hold down Control and use mouse wheel. This will zoom in or out all of the targets. And one thing that is very useful here, also is a right click that you perhaps did not know that you can use. Right click will reposition the crosshair on the target instantly. So watch it now. Here, tick, and again. Yeah, that was right click. So this is just a set of shortcuts for you when you're working with orientation. We will soon publish all our keyboard shortcuts, so we will have a cheat sheet for that too. Okay, and now we continue to what Marco was saying previously. So these are quick cat shortcuts. And the first one is when you are drawing a line and you want to, okay, you finish one line and then you want to add another vertex. So this line will be finished now, right click. And now let's say we want to add some vertex here. We just go over the line and double click. We zoom in and add a vertex. Again, double click, zoom in and add a vertex. So that was the first one. And anytime we are working on our polylines, we can press backspace, which will delete the last vertex. So we select it, backspace, and it's gone. And you can delete more than one vertex this way. So be careful if you're pressing it, you can erase it all the way to the start. Marco, did you want to add something here?
No, all clear, all clear. What I was trying to explain before was just if you are drawing a new line with the left mouse, you can nevertheless always use then the right mouse for double zoom in. Okay, not actually to add a vertex, maybe in a different situation.
Or the middle mouse also works.
Or the middle mouse, yes, correctly.
Okay, let's go on. So another one that I long time didn't know about, really, I have to admit, is a quick, like additional recalculate function within the classification. So imagine you're doing classification like always. You want to get the ground detected. Okay, start, and then you see that the automatic classification didn't get it quite right. You see here some patches are missing that you would expect to also be classified as ground. Well, there's recalculate button right here, down there. See? Press it, it will attempt again, and this time it did it correct. So try it out. It works really great. And that means you don't have to repeat the whole process again or go clicking additionally. It just tries again and it works. It's that simple.
Okay, I would just like to add my notice to this point. We have some customer, mainly from US, because they have some specific of terrain like small bushes and everything like that. And they figure out that if they run the classification twice, they get the best terrain out from it. So they actually repeat the complete process again. But this is a kind of a shortcut for this case. If you click the recalculation button again, actually the most important algorithm runs again, and that's it. And you can do it, I don't know, twice, triple, or even more. Our suggestion is actually click the recalculate button for so long till you're getting the bigger areas, more patches. And you're never going to get trees here inside, but maybe just more terrain patches from that. And usually after the second or third click, the result will stop and will stay longer, even if you click 10 times. But nevertheless, in this case, you can get the best terrain model out of it.
Okay, thank you. And if you want to play around with this one, you can, for example, do two classifications and then compare 2 point clouds, because we also support this option. And so you have 2 point clouds differently classified, and you can go in and inspect which one did the better job and which one suits you better. So yeah, also try that. Okay, now we're moving on to partial point cloud processing. This one is intended for perhaps more of heavy users. If you get carried away and you do a lot of images, which results in a very large point cloud like this one here, 277,000 million points. That's insane amount of points. And if you're afraid that your PC is too weak or you don't have enough time, you can slice up the work this way. So first you duplicate your point cloud, so you have one original, and then just select a smaller area of interest, for example like this castle here, and you want this part of the point cloud very detailed. So this way you have reduced your point cloud. You go here, delete other. So you have deleted everything else, but kept this small patch, and your point cloud was reduced. And now what you can do is calculate full 3D mesh out of that, and you set the detail level to high or even extreme if you want, and you let it calculate. And then you go back to your original point cloud and calculate all the rest on smaller settings, perhaps, because maybe you don't want the meadows and the forests so detailed. And when it's all done, you simply they will simply fit together. Mesh 1 will be here and mesh 2 will be everything around. So if you want to present this to a client, it also works. Yeah, this is whoops, sorry, getting ahead of myself. Yeah, Marco, did I forget anything about this one? I think
No, I think it's a nice one if you like to play with a kind of level of detail or something like that. Because sometimes you have a greater area, you would like to have it for a nicer presentation where your point of interest is, and then you have this small detail where you would like to be a super accurate. And this is maybe with the point cloud, it's not so important because we have handle a great number of points. If you have a memory on your computer, it's even maybe more important if with the texture 3D mesh. So in this way, you can have a complete model, let's say with 2 million of triangles, and then another model, just small part with another 2 million or 3 million of triangles. And in this way, you can get super detailed texture 3D models also.
Yeah, and maybe you don't even want the surroundings to be textured. You just want them to be there, so they're the background, and it will process it very fast. You'll save a lot of time on this.
Correctly.
And yeah, just work on the main focus of the model. Okay, going on is recorder tricks. I don't know how many of you use recorder, but it's really neat. If you're watching our promo videos, that's all recorder. So for this one, I will go back to the software. Just a second. So here is one of our favorite models. This is a point cloud of a lighthouse. And if we want to there are two things I wanted to show you about recorder. First, you can do a path. So we'll add some cameras. Camera 1, we'll start our movie here. Then we'll zoom in a bit, like this, add another camera, go around to here. Okay, let's preview what we've done. Okay, moving down, and then comes the rotation. Oh, not as I intended. Okay, so I'll give you another. Okay, what we have to do now is modify, move our camera, modify again, and go back here and add another one. So let's see if this is correct as I wanted it. Yeah, that's more like it. Okay, so this was modify. Now, when you press record, the recording will start, and anything you do with your render area will be shown in the recording. So what I mean is, let me show you. We'll just save this, yep, like this. Okay, confirm. So we're recording now, and if I turn on height map, it will record the height map. If I turn on shading, it will turn on shading. And if I change the color scheme, it will record different color schemes. Turn off the height map, turn off the shade. Yep.
And you can even switch between tabs. So if you go to mesh here, you will create mesh or point cloud or maybe contour lines if you have them. What you see is what you get.
Yeah, exactly. And another thing, where did it go? Now, okay, I can show you on another one. Perhaps here, or sorry, where this is the okay. Let's go here. Another thing is if you want to have a specific view of your project bookmarked. So I don't know. Let's say this this part. If we want to have perfectly the same aerial view every time of this thing, we can go to recorder and add a camera here and call it L1. Okay, and then we do some work in this project. Perhaps we do some vectorization or anything, and we say, oh, I want to get back to that exact spot that I was before. It was something like that. Yeah, it was something like that, but it's not exactly the same. If you go back to recorder, go to this path, choose this camera, and here we are. See, exactly the same view. And you can use it on different point clouds. Now we're on this point cloud, and turn another one on. Now we're in this one. So you can focus on monitoring the same, aspect of a field through different stages of construction site, for example. And you can have as many as you want. This is the view 1. Let's do another one. Okay, I will have to do it again. Okay, so this was view 1. Perhaps we want one from here also. We just add another camera, and whenever we want to return to that view, we just go to recorder, camera 2, and here we are. And you can have capture if you press C, and you have a JPEG image saved in your working folder. I think that's pretty neat.
Yeah, it's a nice one. I think it's also a good one if you share with your customer the project maybe, and the customer is a 3D survey professional. You can maybe prepare the previews of your project with this tips and trick, maybe.
yeah, if you always want to say, if you always want to send them the same view of a construction site, or I don't know, a house that you're renovating or something like that, save it in the recording. And the best thing about it, maybe not best thing, but you can also export those. So you can save the paths of recorder, so you can send it to someone. Yeah, a simple one that can help you a lot, I think. Okay, if we move on, yeah, that's the recorder scene. I forgot to show you. Everything you switch during recording will be recorded. Okay, and another one. I mentioned in the beginning, there's an option for fully automatic workflow. And on this one, I would like to invite Marco to give you a presentation about it. There are some prerequisites for this one. You need an RTK drone, you need ground control points, and you need to know which coordinate systems you're in. So, Marco, please.
Okay,
Show.
thank you, Mattia. Hopefully you can see my screen already. So I did already the first step where I import images inside. So as Mattia already mentioned, if you have an RTK drone and the right coordinate system, and if you have ground control points to additionally improve the accuracy of the model, also in the right coordinate system, you can actually use the batch processing and all the steps till the orthophoto are automatically calculated. So it's a super nice trick already inside of 3D Survey for 2 years or something like that. Because the standard procedure is you need to import the data, click bundle adjustment, you wait in this case 1 hour, then you do the orientation manually with the targets, another 50 minutes, then the dense reconstruction, probably 3 to 5 hours for 1000 images. Of course, depends on the computer, and it means you need to be always in front of the computer. But if you have an RTK drone, if you have ground control points, which are 3D survey targets, so we have black dot on white plate, or maybe checkerboards or apertex, so the target needs to be like that, then you can do these all procedures automatically. And I would just like to quickly show you how it goes. So first you import the images. I can check the telemetry of the images here when I click the telemetry button. Okay, let's go back to map view. Second point, what I need to do, I need to import ground control points in this step. And there is an option in the list of ground control point targets. Here is like a pinpoint with a plus on it. Hopefully you can see it. When I click this icon, the ground control point wizard came up. I will browse to my points here. Let's scroll down, find the file. Here it is. I immediately say the point name, easting, northing elevation. I will set here as a known projection because it's an RTK drone. The ground control points are measured with the RTK GNSS device, so everything fit nicely together. And when I import these points, okay, I see again, in my case, those points are 3D survey targets, black dot with white plates, so we can also automatically center them. I click on close button. And now when I go, I just do the double check. If I click on telemetry, that those points are under my cameras and the elevation is probably fine. So the images from the cameras up here, I flew at 80 meters, and then the ground control points are down there. So these should pass nicely together. So you need to have like this way. If you will have cameras here and ground control points 100 meters away, then this is not working. Then something's wrong with the coordinate system or anything like that. But If you preset everything correctly, then you can go to project, click on batch processing, and now here you see the complete batch processing pipeline. So what the software should do automatically. The first step is bundle adjustment, global mode, that's all good. Then orientation. If you don't have the ground control points, the orientation will be done based on telemetry data. If you have orientation with ground control points, as we already imported them, you see them here immediately written, 12 ground control points will be used. Another option would be I could import also with this button here, import GCP data, but with the previous approach I show you, you immediately double check that everything is nicely aligned. So yes, do the orientation with ground control points, all good. Dense reconstruction, set the level you would like to use, so high is a standard one. Then a bit more careful with mesh calculation. Here you can decide, would you like to calculate a regular grid mesh or full 3D mesh? Now more and more popular is full 3D mesh, because with this one you can then also get a true orthophoto. So I will define the full 3D mesh, and then the last step is orthophoto. Here it's great to know what are ability of your equipment. If you fly with a Mavic 3 Enterprise or similar drone like Phantom 4 RTK and so on 80 meters, the orthophoto should be resolution of 2 centimeters. If you fly on 40 meters, it's 1 centimeter and so on. You just define here the end resolution of orthophoto, and just click the run button. And no, I don't need to sit in front of the computer checking the progress. I just need to come back in, I don't know, 5 hours or end of the day, and all those in-between steps will be calculated till the end point. After the specific step is finished, you will immediately see in 3D window. So my first progress will be probably after a half an hour, the sparse point cloud resolved. The second step will be orientation, and the dense reconstruction, full 3D mesh and orthophoto. Okay.
Yeah, thank you for the workflow, Marco.
Okay, thank you, Mattia. Again, we are coming close to the webinar. There are a lot of questions already. If there are still some, write them in the question box, and we will try to answer them. Okay, before I give back the word to Mattia. Mattia, feel free.
Okay, thank you, Marco. I think this was a great presentation of fully automated workflow. I hope that you'll try it on your own data, because that's like a workday done by 3D survey with a few clicks by you, and you can be on your lunch or coffee break for the next day, because everything else will be done automatically. Yeah, just a great feature. Another useful feature is X-ray. If you have already tried it, you know what it
just
does.
need to switch to presenter mode, Mattia.
Oh, yeah, thank you. Okay. Yeah.
Perfect. We can see it.
Okay, we're good. Okay, if you don't know what X-ray is, it's feature that marks the densest points of your point cloud, meaning it will produce a image of walls if you are recording some buildings or walls or stuff like that. If it's a lot of points in the same vertical wall, it will show on this image. But sometimes you would like to present it a bit more naturally. And the way you can do this is combine it with orthophoto. So we have this X-ray, you have this orthophoto, and if you turn them on simultaneously in 3D survey, X-ray will show on top of orthophoto. And you can even export this, and it will produce an image that is saved on your computer that has both. And you can import it back into 3D Survey. This is shown here. And you see it now, orthophoto with these X-ray lines on top. It is really useful for irregular rooftops or if you're doing cadastre or something like this. Yeah, classic surveying feature. I mean, it's not classic, but it's used for classic surveying purposes. I think it's really nice one. Hope you like it. Okay, now we move on to our last tip of the day. It's a bonus tip because it's not really a 3D survey trick, but here's the scenario. You have done a lot, I mean, like more than a couple of thousand images of your project, and you know the overlap is good, but you don't really want to sit and wait for all of those images to process. What you can do is select every second image, and this is done like this. You go, new project, so this window to open the images up shows up. Then you narrow it together, make the thumbnail as big as possible, and now select just one column. Just go right column all the way down, and this means that one image is selected, the other is not. And this goes on to the end of the list, and if you have done enough overlap, this will work. You will process only half the images and still get a good result. So yeah, that's one trick where you have to save half the time and just to see how the model looks, or then maybe process it again with all the images and leave it on processing during another day, something like that. I hope you like this one too. And this was the last trick. Before we go to questions, I have another question for you. And this is our last question. You should see it now. So I'm interested in how many of those tricks or features did you already know before? No, sorry. How many of those were new to you? It's the other way around. So how many of those didn't you know? So yeah, I hope I didn't confuse you too much.
No, you explained additionally, so all clear.
Okay, results are coming in, very colorful, broad spectrum of answers. So very good to see these results, which are telling us that you've learned something. So that's what we were hoping for. And I think it's best if we go to the questions. If you still have some, there's still some time to write one in. Marco, would you like to start with those?
Yes, in the meantime, maybe you just give them an answer for this one, and then we can go maybe to question. So do you have some results already available for a quick poll?
Yeah, let me share them with you. So none of you said that you have learned nothing new. So that's perfect.
That's great to hear.
Yeah, 14% of you have learned one or two new things. 28% of you have learned 2 to 4 new things. 26% 4 to 6, and 31% of you have learned 6 or more, which is great to hear. Thanks again for watching and voting on this poll. Very nice.
Okay.
Okay.
Very good feedback for us, how to prepare new webinars and so on. So thank you, and let's start. Yes, maybe with questions. We have some of them. You still have time to write them. We are now live. Use this opportunity, and I will start with first question with Christoph. Is there a way to georeference a point cloud or OBJ file with points that are measured with my GPS? Yes, so in official version, we are working on this thing. Maybe we can show you with the beta version how it looks like, but this is our plan also to support it. Definitely, the part of it's already done. So Christoph, I would ask you just to write me an email that I can contact you one-on-one and show you how it goes and get also the feedback from your side if this is what you are looking for and so on. So in official version yet not, but it's coming. Then the second question from Patrick is there possibility to draw profile with 3D mesh? Because I think this is possible only in point cloud. Patrick, you're right. The profile lines are calculated from point cloud points, but there is one trick which was not in this session. So, and this trick is how you can convert mesh into point cloud. Okay, so it's nothing hard. You just actually just use the right mouse click on the mesh. And there is an option convert mesh to point cloud, and you will be able to write, okay, give me 1000 points per square meter, and in this way you will actually create point cloud from mesh and calculate the profile lines. So this is a workaround. Maybe for the next one, yes. So we see there are more tips and tricks available, and yes. So thank you for your question. Hopefully I answered it. Then Marco is asking, is there a possibility to draw lines directly on images after bundle adjustment without having to start from the model and sparse point cloud? If not, it's possible to have this in feature in future. Marco, when we designed this drawing on image tool, so upgrade of our CAT, our first idea was also to support this one. But then we did it so good, so nicely with this option as currently is, so we stopped this second step to draw immediately on images. And why? Because it's much more complicated. So if you would like to work without any sparse point cloud or mesh as a basis where you click the first time, you would need to show this position on at least 2 images right at the beginning. So it's possible to have this one, but I think from user perspective, from user interface and work perspective, it's kind of a bit more complicated. And that's why we put this part on hold and focused on more urgent things in development. So probably if we will come back to this one after a year or something like that. And yes, if you would like to give me some more reasonable feedback why this would be interesting for you, then please let's do it and to have also your additional feedback. So thank you, Marco, for this question. Then Cyrus Ferenc is asking, Mattia, you are presenting in 2.17 version. Why I have 2.16 version? Okay. This is because Mattia, it's our tester, so he's doing his work. He's already now testing the version. So when the version 270 will be official, we will, of course, with pleasure let you know, and all who have the latest subscription and upgrades will have this version. So yeah, nevertheless, otherwise, this was a partial testing version and so on. That's why. So all good. Sophie is asking, what I would like to do is import Surface from Trimble software to show new feature versus old Surface and so on. So yes, this was, I think this question was set during the bounding box presentation, how to compare surfaces and that old stuff. Yes, so you can import surfaces as long they are compatible with our file. files, and I think they are. So with the surfaces, you can use geotiff or OBJ or PLY. So use that, import it, and do the comparison. So should work nicely. And then you can also record the presentation and so on. Okay, thank you, Sophia, for that. Then we have Patrick, who is asking, will there be recording of this webinar? Yes, we are recording on this webinar. You will get an automatic email to get the recording, and also all webinars, maybe Mattia, you can show them, are also in day or two available from our webpage. Also the complete history of the webinars, so you have this free knowledge available there. Check it out. It's super useful. Okay, then Marco is asking, can batch processing be started from dense reconstruction? Yes, of course. So you just check in this progress bar what you would like to have. If you already have the best, already have the bundle adjustment and orientation finished, you just continue, do mini reconstruction, do full 3D model or anything like that. So nevertheless, all combinations are covered with this batch processing. Then Martin, hi, together, is there a list of shortcuts available in as a PDF? Thanks. Okay, Mattia.
Yeah, not yet, but we're working on that. It's still in Excel table, waiting to be exported. So yeah, you should get that shortly.
Okay, so the idea is there. So all tips and tricks will be available somewhere from our webpage, where you will have the full list, even more of those tips and tricks. Okay, Mr. Ferenc, hi, it's possible to orientate the picture manually in the running of the batch processing, or maybe before we launch the batch processing. Okay, probably you mean the pictures which are not successfully taken in the bundle adjustment result, probably. If I understand this question, just a second. In running of the batch processing, or will be before we launch the batch process? Is it possible to orientate the picture manually in the running of batch processing? Not sure if I understand this question 100%, but if you mean to orientate the pictures in a bundle adjustment the manual way, this is not possible. So to show them tie points on one image and second image and connect them together and so on, this is not possible. We do this automatic way because it's super hard doing this manual way. I know this could help you in some specific things in case you have really deep forest, high vegetation or water areas. Sometimes one image is super important to also have their orthophoto, but this is not yet available and possible. Another question from Ferenc. Orientate the peaks, save the orients, and load them into the batch processing. So this is connected with the previous one. You could save the project and continue from this second start, but not sure I understand this one. Please just contact us via email or write us on support, and we will support with those answers. Okay, then Achim Fosters is asking, if we fly above 80-meter AGL, what will be the best overlap to get good result? Okay, so if you go for standard orthophoto, traditional orthophoto, or something like that, 70% of the overlap, it's more than enough for the standard orthophoto. If you would like to have the best 3D models so that your terrain has a lot of buildings and everything like that, you need to have combination of cameras. Maybe the fastest on the field is double grid mode, where the drone flies one way and pointing camera a bit in front, and then the perpendicular to the main line, it flies additionally. if you would like to have the best one, it always helps you to get at least one circle around the building. So if you do the main mapping on 80 meter, then do circles on 60 meter with the side camera around the building. So in this way, then you will get the best 3D model. Okay, and additionally, let's see the Akram Denigur. Thanks for good presentation. Thank you, Akram. Thank you for your feedback. Then the next question from Wes Matiowski. Classification. How can you maximize classification so the ground is optimized in bushy areas? There are some classification parameters to set up, but by default, I think those are the best one. Whatever you will do, you will have or a bit more bushes, or you will lose the bit of the terrain. So in super complicated areas, what I would suggest you do the classification as Matthias shows you today, and then manually select the areas you think that are terrain and move to another class. So we have, I think, also a video for this, how to do it, but maybe combination of automatic classification and manual selecting of areas, moving to the correct class will help you out. Okay, is it possible? So Janusz is asking us, is it possible to do kind of tool that compare two 3D clouds and after draw a cloud with contour map of difference? Like GUM software, sorry for my English, no problem, I understand you, very good. How to compare two surfaces? One option 3D survey would be that you have two meshes and just select everything. You will immediately see where the triangulated triangles are, match them together. And then another option is to click the calculate volume button, and you will see the difference between those two meshes immediately. So to calculate out kind of a contour line map where the difference are bigger or not, yes, let's think about how to have this one. I think Cloud Compare has that kind of function if you would like to compare it. Otherwise, use color options. So sometimes the realistic colors doesn't help you so much. Right mouse click on the first surface, set the green color. Right mouse click on the second surface, calculate with the red color, and then you have red and green, and do the comparison, check it out. You will immediately see where the difference are. Okay, Sophie is thanking us for the webinar. With pleasure. Then Dimitrios Chelos, what is the most suitable flight height for RTK DJI to survey a length of 3 decades with a 2-story building? When we are no high structure in the area, can be lower height flight. Let me see, where is the additional
to reduce
question?
the accuracy.
To reduce the accuracy. So land of 3 decades with a 2-story building. So I would suggest you like so. If you have bigger areas, fly on 80 meters or 100 meters. If you have smaller areas, fly between 40 to 60 meters above the land. And if you have buildings, do circles around the building. So don't be afraid, trigger at least 500 images or even more. Of course, it will take some additional processing time, but the 3D models will be brutal nice. Okay, and then later on you can decide how detailed you would like to go with the model. So this is my suggestion. If this is a 2-story building and it's not big area, I would start simple grid on 60 meters to give you the confidence that you have everything, and then start to play with the circles or manual flight with camera angle. But in this case, always things you need to build connections between the top-down images, which are 90 degrees down, and side images. So don't go immediately horizontal. you need to go first 70%, then 60, then 50%, and so on. You need to build geometry between images. Okay, Martin is asking, Marco, I still wait for the APK version of 3D Survey Pilot. Offer me to send me. Thank you, Martin, to remind us. I thought we sent it to you. I will double check. We have it, so yes, I will support you with this one. Thank you, Martin. Where there is already a possibility of when there is already possibility of batch processing, it might be convention to add the new option of notification of completing via email. Yes, good one. It's on development plan already. So notification with email. Thank you, Slavisha. Sergey, the Jesus, hi, great presentation. Thank you. I'd like to have a version of Pilot that support Autel Evo 2. I would also like to have this, but we don't have it. As far I know, Autel has integrated option of piloting. I know there are not too many options. That's why probably you would like to have another one. But we don't plan to support to do this because the strategic is a bit different. Maybe check out Drone Harmony or something like that. They have to option for Altair. Christopher Uglarik, thank you for the presentation. Thank you. The same says Ferenc. Thanks. Another question from Wes Matjowski. When we export surface in TIFF, the surface export in international feed instead of the project setting US survey feed. Please look at this. Okay, we will check, but one reminder, depends. The first thing is how you preset your software. So if you go under the options and you define the units, this is the first thing. And second important thing is what kind of coordinate system you did actually select. Okay, if the coordinate system is in US survey feed, it will actually write the standard fit. So check please the coordinate system. And we'll also check this one because we had this issue 2 years ago and it should be solved. Best, thank you for this one. Then another question from Nejad. Very good webinar. Thank you. Greetings from Nejad from Croatia. Okay, no question, but thank you message.
Thank you,
okay. I think we come till end of the questions. If there are still one, please write them in our support or wait for another webinar next month. So we plan to have those one webinar per month, and we'll try to do our best to achieve this. So from my side, I will thank you all and give word back to Mattia.
Yeah, there's nothing more to say. I think thanks for joining us in this great webinar. Thanks for all the questions, and see you next time. Enjoy.
See you. Bye.